our theme from the last 2 weeks. I know it gets a bit heavy sometimes, but just hang in there with me, and we will get to where we need to get to. All right? We're just laying the foundation, and then we can talk about some of the other controversial issues. I mean, these are controversial issues too, but we're laying the foundation for more controversial issues. We're giving our theological foundation, our biblical foundation, and then we deal with the other issues that will arise out of that. All right. So if we're going to talk about sexuality and all the issues that surround sexuality, I think it's important for us to have an understanding of who we are from a Christian and a fundamental theological perspective, which is holistic. So I'm probably going to go a little slower this evening than some of the other evenings, just so that you will thoroughly understand what I'm doing here. I'm also going to share a blank screen and then we jot some stuff down on it as we go along. So let me know if you're seeing that screen there.
Yeah, but it moved my screen sometimes.
Are you seeing it?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And you're seeing those letters clearly?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let me kind of just make the font a little bigger. All right. So last week I raised the issue of humanity. I raised four fundamental questions, right? Um, we said, who am I? Which is identity, right? So where am I from? Could I make that the first one too? Could make where am I from the first one? And this would speak to origin. What am I doing here? Speaks to purpose, right? Where am I going? Addresses issue of destiny. All right. So these are four fundamental questions that every human being has to deal with. It doesn't matter your worldview. Every human being has to deal with these issues. All right. If you ask some people where they came from, based on their worldview, they may tell you that they're from other primates, they're from reptiles, which evolved into monkeys and all them sort of stuff. And then tests have been done. Scientists have spent years doing tests, seeing how much or to what extent we have the same genes as these other primates, these other animals and them sorts of stuff. And see which one of the monkeys we're more compatible with, or we have more similarities with. Right? So there's that. If you ask a Christian, the response is going to be different. If you ask a Muslim, the response might be different. But every human being has to deal with this question. Every human being has to deal with the question of origin. Where am I from? Right? Can't you can't avoid it. You have to deal with it. And a bigger problem or bigger issue that we have to deal with is identity. We struggle with identity. We want to know who we are, right? Who am I? There's that issue. And this relates directly to what we are addressing here. We talk about sexuality and that sort of thing because you find that we're living in a world now that is confused. That people have all different kinds of things to say about themselves. They were born a particular gender. They get up tomorrow morning and they feel like they are no longer that gender and they change the gender. I was watching a video on Instagram a while back, and the woman she had teary eyes. She was emotional. She was traumatized to a certain extent, if you want to call it that. And she was venting on social media. What was her issue? Her issue was that she has a son, and her son identifies himself as a cat. Her son says that he's a cat, and she buys cat food for him and all these sorts of stuff. And her son had some medical issue, and she brought him to a vet. And the vet told her that she can't attend to him because even though he says that he's a cat, his physical appearance, his anatomy says something different. His makeup shows that he is a human being. And he's not licensed to attend in any way, shape, or form to a human being. He's an animal doctor. Right? And so he can't help. And she was livid, she was upset, and she was driven to tears, emotionally distraught, and all them sorts of stuff. Right? Now, in my estimation, this woman needs more help than her son. Because the son saying it is one thing.
You're right about that.
but she accepting it and running with it is something else. So whatever touch of insanity or mental disorder that the son may be struggling with. I am not a psychologist, neither am I a psychiatrist, but my two little senses, which are not very good, tells me then that perhaps some kind of mental disorder runs in the family. Yeah, because for the son to say something like that about himself is it's okay. All right. So we understand that. Let us work with that. But for his mother to now endorse it to the extent where she is confident enough to come on social media and rant about it says something else. So we struggle with issues of identity. Some of us, our identity issue isn't that extreme, but we struggle with identity, even if it is just wanting to belong, you know? Yeah, fully know yourself. Fully know who you are really and truly for one reason or another. You may not have known your father or your mother, and it affects your sense of identity. It affects how you relate to yourself and how you relate to others and all sorts of drama. Right? So um the identity issue and identity crisis is serious. And we see that affecting our society now more than ever. You know? Um Vibes Cartel just got released from prison, and everywhere you go, everything is about Vibes Cartel, and everybody's about Vibes Cartel. And him come out with two rag, one round him head and the other covering his face. I assume that a part of that was because of his health condition. But people can't see beyond him covering his face and ask why does he do that. Not even a day later, one of those rugs started to be sold for $1,000. And everywhere you go, you see another cartel, you know? So you wonder what's happening, right? Or is it that he's cartel and the others are cartoons, right? Because we lack identity. And it doesn't matter how educated we become, it doesn't matter how rich we become, it doesn't matter how famous we become, you find that unless we are, from my perspective as a Christian, unless we are aligned, fully aligned with Christ, unless we allow Him to take full control of our lives, then we are going to forever struggle with identity. You know? So we see what rich people, them still commit suicide, them still um overdose on drugs and all sorts of stuff happen to them and the world works. Because there's an identity crisis, you know. And then there's the issue of purpose, you know. People make millions and billions of dollars, and they still feel like they have not tapped into their true purposes. They have not fulfilled their true purposes on earth, you know. So um it is one thing to live a long and even a healthy life. Um and that life might be flavored with all kinds of excitements. But at the end, you may find that we're living purposelessly, you know, our lives we're not truly fulfilling the purposes for which we are here. You know? And then there's the issue of destiny. Um, where do we go from here? You know, is this the end of our lives? When we live and we've accomplished all that we've accomplished here on earth, what happens? Is that the end of life? When we die, is that it? Is that the end of our stories? Does life end there? Do we become extinct? You know, I- is it a case where there is nothing beyond that? So where are we going? What purpose does all the other aspects of our lives serve? Did we come here from wherever we came from, just to end up in oblivion, just to end up nowhere, just to die, and that's it? Or is there something greater? Is there a greater purpose behind our lives? Is there some other life beyond this life? You know, is there eternity? And is there a God or a judge who is in eternity waiting for us? You know, will we be judged? Will we be rewarded? You know, um, because if that is the case, then how we live matters. How we live our lives matters. How we label ourselves or identify ourselves matters. So these are simple questions. One would want to say probably basic questions, but they are important questions. They are issues that you and I will truly have to deal with. So we don't just want to leave them loosely. We want to pay keen attention to them. All right? All right. So a man, a man has um two parts, putting it simply. And when I say a man, I'm speaking generic man, as in human being, right? So let me put it here. All right? So we say a man has two parts. Um, all right, hold on. So let me do this. All right, so a man has two parts. There is the material part of a man, and there is the non-material part, right? right. So we have material. And we have non-material. All right. Now, regarding the material part of man, the material part of man is body, right? True? Is that true?
Yes, sir.
And the non-material part is?
Spirit.
All right. Spirit slash soul. All right. All right. Now, Genesis 2:7 indicates that the body of man was formed from the dust of the ground, right? Genesis. It's formed from the dust of the ground. All right. All right. Adam. So Adam is a man. So the man is Adam. All right. Ground is Adama. So all right. So what similarities do you see there between Adam and Adama? What similarities do you see? As a question. Anybody?
The word Adam was derived from the word Adama.
Thank you. Who is that? Who said that? Who spoke a while ago?
Sister Lana.
All right, Sister Lana, I'm gonna go buy her drinks. We're gonna buy her drinks, Sister Lana. All right. So Adam was derived from Adama. Simple. Because man came from the ground, right? So the very name Adam was meant to remind the man of his origin, right? So write that there. You're taking notes? All right. Put this in bold. Put this in cap. All right. So he's what? He's of the earth. His name is meant as a reminder that he's of the earth. Now, a chemical analysis of the human body reveals that man's components are those of the earth, right? So, all right. And what are some of the components that make up man that are also of the earth? We have calcium, yeah? We have calcium. We have iron. We have
Carbohydrates and proteins.
potassium. Yeah.
Carbohydrates,
Yes, we have carbohydrate.
proteins.
Those come from food. Yeah, but
Mhm.
we're talking about the raw materials that you get
Oh,
from, yeah, that come from the earth. You know, magnesium and those sorts of stuff, right?
zinc.
Yeah. And these are a part of human beings. That's why we take vitamins and we take minerals and them sorts of stuff. And these are the things that are in them. Why you buy iron tablet? You know, why you need calcium for your bone? Why you need potassium and all them something there, you eat banana, whatnot, whatnot, whatnot. You know? Um, because the body needs those. And the body needs those because the body comes from the earth. Yeah? And sometimes the body is not producing as much as it needs fast enough. So you have to supplement it. You have to supply it. Right? And you can fill in the rest. Right? Also, when we die, what happens to the body?
Starts to decay.
And what?
Break
Return
back down into your core materials. Return to dust.
Thank you.
Turn to those.
Thank you. So, when we die, the body again unites with the dust from which it had its origin, right? So, from dust we came, we are named in such a way, or at least the first man is named in such a way that all of us are reminded of our origin. Yeah. And when we die, our bodies reunite with the dust from which it had its origin. Interesting, you know. And even while we're alive, we have to interact with some of the chemicals that come from the dust or the ground from which we also had our origin. So to keep us going, we supply. And I mean, foods, some of the foods we eat supply these sorts of things too. And again, these foods, most of these foods come from the ground. You know, you can get the calcium and the iron and the magnesium and the potassium and the other things from grown provision, you know, from fruits and from vegetables and from some kind of food that comes from the ground. So it's a cycle, you know. Um, but here we have the issue of origin being dealt with from this perspective. So in one sense, our origin is physical, you know, and it comes from the dust. It is material. There's some material elements to our origin. In reflecting on it, though, it tells me that it doesn't matter what we achieve in life, we ought to remain humble, you know, because we are from the earth, we are from the dust, or we are dust. And at some point or another, we're going to be reunited with the dust from which we came. And we're going to leave everything we have behind, you know? And that is a part of our destiny. That is also a part of our destiny. So the original part of our origin is that we're made from the dust. And a part of our destiny is that we are going to be reunited with the dust from which we came. Luckily, though, that is not all of our origin, and it is not all of our destinies. It's just a part of our origin story and a part of our destinies. All right? So we have that. Now, what is and I'll put the question here, what is the purpose of the body? And there are different views. We won't look at all of them, but we look at some of them. We play around with some of them. Let me put the question here. Yeah. What is the purpose of the body? All right. Now, one view, there are different views. So, one view, we probably can call this. All right, so what you going to hear? So, what's up? All right. So this is view one. What does view one says? What does view one says? Somebody read that for me.
It says that the body is the prison of the soul.
All right. What do you think about that, Brother Taylor?
I, I wouldn't say prison. I just would consider it a temple or a housing, wouldn't it? That's what I would consider it.
All right. Mm. So this is one view, right? They argue that the body is the prison of the soul. So the body keeps the soul locked up. And this is a Greek. This view was held by some Greek philosophers, right? So they placed a division, I will call a dichotomy, between the body and the soul, right? Um, all right. So they place a great dichotomy between the body and the soul. What do we mean by that? Um, all right. So for them, the body was the soul rather, soul was non-material and it was good. Body was material, hence evil. Right? All right. So they are arguing that the body is evil because it is material, and the soul is good because it is immaterial. It is not physical. Right? Um, so the body is depreciated. Body, the body is not valued because the body is evil. And in some cases, depending on the brand of philosophy or school of philosophy that they're coming from, or the philosopher that they are advocating for, or the philosophical thought that they're advocating for, they will argue, like, for example, the Gnosticism. The Gnostics argued that they were big on knowledge, you know. So knowledge is not physical, so knowledge is good. The body is evil, you know. So as a result of that, you use knowledge to eradicate evil. All right. There's another group they call Docetists, and their thought process was Doceticism. Doceticism argued that the body is evil, inherently evil, and the spirit is inherently good. Now, they went a bit further to argue that Jesus was not a physical person. Jesus appeared to be physical. He was a phantom. He appeared to be physical, but he never had a real physical body like you and I possess. No. Because if he did, he would have been evil. Now, my response to that is that if he didn't have a real physical body, there's no way he could die for our sins. Because in order for him to truly die for our sins, he had to be a real physical person. Yeah? He had to be able to die a physical death. So what we would have then would have been an appearance of a crucifixion. He would be deceptive, he would be deceiving us because he would be going through the motions and he would be appearing to die, but not die. And it would mean then that if he doesn't die, his blood isn't really shed. And if his blood isn't really shed, and if he doesn't really die, then he doesn't really rise from the dead. And if he doesn't rise from the dead, he doesn't really conquer death and hell and the grave and all the other theological doctrines I hold where that is concerned would go up in flames. Very foundation, Paul says that if Jesus Christ has not been risen from the dead, then we hope in vain. What we are doing it in vain. We are like men most miserable. So the bedrock of Christianity is the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And if Jesus Christ is to or was to be raised from the dead, then he had to have died. And if he was going to die, then it had to be possible for him to die. Now, if he's a phantom, then he can't die because he's like a ghost. You know, it's just an appearance, which is the art of deception. You know, so what we're boasting in as salvation would not be true. Right? So you see how these thoughts come together and the kind of implications that they have for us, for our lives, you know. So there is that thought there. All right. Um, Another thought is that the body, this is the next extreme now. This is to the next end, right? The body is the only important part of man. Yeah. So the first group says the soul or the spirit or the immaterial part of man is the only important part, is the most important part, and they depreciate and devalue the body. This other group goes in the other direction, in the opposite direction, where they put all the value that they have or that there is on the physical part of man, and they put no significance on the soul or the spirit, or soul and spirit. Right? Because again, with that, it comes down to the view, which worldview you hold to. Some people argue that we are what they call that dichotomy. We are two part, you know, we are body and we are soul. And some say we are trichotomy, three part being, body, soul, and spirit. Now, the hedonist, they are called hedonism. So this particular thought comes from what we call hedonism. So this view is called hedonism, right? Mhm. So this view is called hedonism. Now, because the hedonists only put the value on the body, they encourage us to seek pleasure, to live life to its fullest and to live it up, you know, and to seek pleasure, to please the body by doing whatever you enjoy doing, you know? So you get up today and you are a man But you feel like you are a woman, you can go look a man, you know? Or you may feel like a man, but you still go look another man, you know? And you live it up. You know what I mean? Or it might be an orgy, so it might be 15, 20 men, and them just drink and them rave and them carry on and them pleasure themselves in whatever way, you know. Women might be the same thing, or it might be um opposite sex, you know. Yeah. Some big men, they love to fool around children, pedophiles. So if that is what gratifies you, the hedonist says, do it. Just do it. And some people have some weird ideas, and some people have some nasty habits, you know. Um, um, some people are into them get a nice name, them label it golden, golden bath, you know. Um, um, but it's really a nice name to tell us about them going urinate on you, or they wanted to urinate on them. So people have those sorts of deranged ideas, you know, it's depraved thought process. And it's really depraved, it's really depravity because it's really as a result of sin. But people have those sorts of stuff. There are others who go a little farther and they revel in their partner um passing their feces on them. These are these are things that people find, some people find gratifying. They do those sorts of stuff, and if those things are not taking place, then for them nothing is happening. You know, so it's a messed up environment, a messed up world, a messed up set of people we have to deal with, and we have to be willing to address the issues, but at the same time, we should be able to address the issues because if we're willing and not able, then we're in trouble. And if we're able and not willing, we are in more trouble, you know? So we really have to grapple with these issues. We have to think about them. We have to work through them, you know? Some people, they they watch so much pornography and they masturbate so much that when they get married, they have problems in their marriages because rather than pleasing their partner or finding pleasure in their partner, them find pleasure in playing with themselves, in fooling around themselves and watching a screen where others are engaged in these sorts of stuff. And then before you know it, it puts ideas in their heads and they start to invite others into their um marriages, into their relationships. And mash up the thing, you know. Them have something with them call themselves them a swing. You know, them a swinger, you know. Yeah, them a swinger, you know. And again I was on social media. This was probably in the pandemic, and a man came on and he was crying, telling his story about how, you know, he went out and he and his whether wife or girlfriend or whatever, and they went to some place and some swinging was taking place. You know, swinging is where you exchange partners. So you go with your wife or with your girlfriend or whatever, and when you get there, you probably find a random person, and they come with theirs as well, and we just exchange partner. And him say, boy, the woman encourage him and say, yeah man, make them try it and whatnot, whatnot. And him say, boy, when him start, him feel like him a go on, but when him couldn't go through because When him look over on the other side and him see film woman and him see where she are going with and some things where she are going with and some position and all them something that where him never get in all the years them together. Him never know say she know them the position they never know say your body could have been up like that and all these things because him never get them the something they yet. Him couldn't concentrate, him couldn't do it. You understand me? Mash him up, run down him nerves. You understand me? And him dey on social media, bust a ball. I say, boy, I'm traumatized, you know? So the reality is that there are the hedonist, and those who are big and pushing hedonism, pushing living life and pleasure and doing what you want to do and what please you and whatnot, 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 whatnot. Or to keep in mind too that there are consequences to these things, to these actions. You know, I mean, there is the issue of STD, STIs, and them sorts of stuff, but there are other consequences too. You know, there are consequences that are more dire than those. So, you know, but the point is that these are real issues. These are things that are happening around us, and we have to be able to deal with these issues. You notice even down in Westmoreland, them have a hotel called Hedonism. You know, Hedonism 3 and all them sort of something. I know say back in the days, I don't know what them are down there. I know say back in the days, them used to have like all the naked beach and the naked side and all them sort of something there and the whole works and all of these things, you know. When I just left college many years ago and never had anything to do and I came to Montego Bay to live, I worked between Grand Palladium and Secrets for a few months. When I was at Secrets, sometimes this is the woman, them, the white woman, them come on the beach and them just take off them breasts. Them, I just them bikini them have on and them take off them brassiere, me mean, not them breasts, them take off them brassiere. And them breasts, them just they adore like that. And them are suntan and them are ray and them are tea and it's nothing for them, you know. That is just it. Them just do them and them just live up them life and whatnot, whatnot. You know, whether it is that them a try make a man see them or a woman see them or them just a try or them just a do them one thing is to be determined. But the reality is that they are doing it for whatever reason. The reality is that they are doing it, and we have to. We can't be oblivious to what is happening. We can't just blood of Jesus. We have to be realist. I'm a realist. We have to deal with the issues. We have to address the issues because these are real issues and we're dealing with real people. And sometimes some of our own members, some of our own brothers and sisters struggle with these issues too, you know? And they're afraid to address the issues. They're afraid to open up and to say, hey, I'm struggling because when we done blood them up, and don't tell them say them not save and them want to go back a Calvary and Ray and Tay and Tay and Tay. And then after we done all that, we'll call a couple people and tell them about them. And before you know it, the whole of Jamaica hear about it. You understand me? And that doesn't help them. It makes their situation worse. So sometimes them not even bother. Them want somebody to talk about them, them not even bother because they must say, boy, John, you know, them afraid. You know, but it's time the church come of age and start addressing these issues, you know, from a biblical, intellectual, spiritual perspective, because the issues are real. And we have an obligation to address the issues. All right. I pretty much use up my time. Let me give you one more on the material side and then call it a night here. And then next week we can pick up the immaterial and we can run the thing. Um, So a third view is a more balanced view. Yeah, a third view, which is a more balanced view, argues that the body is partner to the soul, right? So the body right? The body is a partner of the soul. Right? Now, if we argue that the body is a partner of the soul, then what Brother Taylor said earlier about the body being the temple of God becomes an important conversation because it is through the body that we glorify God. Yeah? The body is a means of glorifying God because the body is the temple. Right? Now, the body is not supposed to be the master, as the hedonists say. Because if the body is a master, then you are going to, it's always going to be about self-indulgence. Right? So the body is not supposed to be the master. Because if the body is your master, you're always going to be catering to the needs of the body, no matter what those needs are. Or it might not be a need, it might be a want too, no matter what they are. And then that gets us in trouble. Right? But at the same time, the body is not the enemy of the soul, like or the spirit, like some of our forefathers thought. And so some of them would move out of normal lives. They would move from their communities, move from their normal lives, and they would go into the hills, you know, and just pure fasting and eat, feed pan a little bit of nothing, and them not have no contact with the world. And if them ever have an erection or have any urge, any sexual urge, them roll in a maca, you know? Yeah, man. Take off them clothes and roll in a maca, man. You know? Make maca juke them up and all them something there. And some of them and them burn off them finger in a fire and all them something there and then beat themselves and all of these things. No, you can't do that. I'm saying an urge, a sexual urge is normal. You know, an erection is normal. You know, we were made with sexual organs. We were made as sexual beings. Yeah. But at the same time, we must be responsible with how we handle our sexuality. So there has to be a certain amount of balance in terms of how we do the thing. So the soul and the body must work as partners. They work hand in hand. Each one need the other. Yes? So I'm going to pause here this evening. I think this is sufficient. All right? And I'll turn over to Pastor. And if there's a conversation to be had, then we can do that.
Okay. Yes, yes, yes. Lots of information to break down tonight. But I know we're not going to be able to go through all of them. So what I'm going to do tonight is to allow you to digest this. And I'm going to send the recording to you shortly. And then what I would love you to do is to listen back through this lesson. 'Cause I know there are a lot of questions that might need to be asked tonight, but we want to stick to our 9 o'clock schedule. So it's now 9 minutes after 9. So I'm not going to push it tonight. But I just want to also thank our teacher for bringing out this information. You see, when you start to dive into anthropology, it's a whole heap of stuff, whole heap of stuff. But I'm sure tonight is very informative again. You know, I don't know if I can allow maybe 2 questions for tonight, and then we will move into some question and answer next week before teacher go a little deeper. But let me just facilitate 2 questions tonight. Is there anyone that has a question that they would want to clarify or want to ask? Anyone?
Yes, I'd like to ask a question.
Yes.
Pastor Meek, we know that we call persons who seek just to gratify the flesh the hedonists, and their focus is on if it feels good, do it. Would there be a category or a way to determine what you would call the persons who focus solely on spiritual gain? What would you call them?
Okay, Pastor Meek, did you hear that question?
I didn't hear all of it. I don't know if it is from my end or if it is his end.
All
We
right,
sound muffled.
Brother Colin, can you repeat that question?
Sure, yeah. In case you didn't, maybe it was on my end, Pastor Mick. I apologize. But I was saying, yes, we call the persons who seek to gratify the flesh only the hedonists. What would you call someone who seeks only spiritual food and only to gratify and enlighten the spirit? What would you call them?
I mean, there are different names, but we usually call them spiritists. You know, the name is usually synonymous with what they're trying to achieve, right? Yeah, they are, and it depends on what kind. It depends on what kind too, because um they can be like a Wiccan, they can be um some of those other things, from a cultic group or from occult, some kind of occult worship. So it depends. But there are people who seek after the spirit, but they do that without attaching themselves to a religion. So so the word cult comes from the Latin word cultus, and cultus means it speaks to worship. It speaks to worship, but it speaks to worship in the sense of there being is more organized worship. You have an organized religion and you have a place of worship. So the whole idea of religion is that there are some outward elements to it. You have doctrine, you have traditions, you have a building, you have a book, you have all these sorts of stuff. So that is a religion. So there's an outward element. But when we talk about spiritism to a certain extent, a person will say that they are spiritual, because some people say that they are spiritual and they are trying to connect with their spirit and they're trying to connect with, these kind of spiritual elements and stuff. But they don't consider themselves to be religious, they're spiritual. So it is more internal and it is individualistic, right? So it is spiritism, but again, it depends on what brand or so of spiritism that we're talking about. But it's spiritism, and those people consider themselves to be spiritists, or they are spiritual people, or whatever. So I don't know if that helps in any way to clarify what you asked.
Yes, thank you. It gives me direction, something I can Google later on.
Yeah, yeah, no problem.
Just a comment, Pastor. When you mentioned the hedonism and the freedom of the body, I just remember that in Jamaica here we used to have some hotels called hedonism. And growing up as a younger man, I always hear stories of those hotels with nudity and probably other stuff going on. So it ties into what you were saying with hedonism.
Yes, definitely. And I think and that's where the idea, the name and what drove those hotels came from, And most of them were in Westmoreland, down that side. I think they probably still have some of them. I think probably Hedonism 3 might still be there.
Let me interject here. I work with the company at corporate level for 4 years. So Hedonism 3, Hedonism 2 is in Negril. Hedonism 3 is where the Jewels Runaway Bay is now. I think it's called Jewels Runaway Bay. So it still exists, but not the former owners. One of the guests that used to be plentiful at the resort bought it. So it does still exist, but
Right.
not
Different name.
It's the same hedonism. They bought the name and everything, but not on the top shelf level like it used to be back then.
Right.
But hedonism 2 is in the grill. Hedonism 3 was in Runaway Bay. It doesn't exist anymore.
Right. All right.
That Issa family came out of the hotel business, although they still keep the one in the Bahamas.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that clarification and update.
Yeah, but it's something dawned on me when I see you going through this whole thing and the whole hedonistic, just like Brother Shelai mentioned. It dawned on me right there. But yeah, it was just outrageous. It's nothing to speak of, because as a staff, I could go there for free. Like being on the property for meetings and stuff, and it's just out of this world. The same thing you spoke about, the wife swapping thing. It was called it had a special name, and all those people fly down for that week, and it's just an exchange thing. All of that goes on there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I mean, some of those things will still happen in hotels now in Jamaica. But it is just more discreet.
Yeah, but the Negril hedonism was just more, because Negril is a very open lifestyle. It was much more open than the one in Runaway Bay.
Right.
Much more. Although when the media hit in 2000, I think it's 2000, 2001, somewhere there, with the mass wedding, the biggest nude wedding, where the 12 couples got married. I don't know if most people know about it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. But when it came, when the news got to the public and the pictures were in the papers, the wedding had gone on from the day before. When all
Yeah.
that camping was happening outside at the church, on the church property, camp
Mm.
out.
Right.
That was the day after the wedding. They dodged the whole thing. So
Crazy.
yeah.
Crazy stuff.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay, so yes. As I said, next week we're gonna get more into it. But I want you to just look into it, because as we get deeper and deeper, your understanding will become clearer, and you will be able to dissect the word and help others who might have different worldview and such like. So I'm so happy for this lesson, and it's gonna go on for a little bit so that we can understand, because we need to know these things. All right. Thank you again, Reverend Meek, for this powerful lesson. So guys, I just want you to read up on stuff so that when we come back to class, Bible study, you have much more questions that you'd want to ask, or if you don't understand something in regards to this, your understanding will become clearer when you begin to get these lesson breakdown. All right. At this time, I'm gonna ask. Let me see. Let me bring up my. Yes, I'm gonna ask. I'm trying to find the name that I'm looking for. All right, Sister Lorna Douglas. I'm gonna ask you to just close us in prayer and pray that we have a blessed night.
Father, we thank you for tonight. Lord, we thank you for another night where you have empowered your servant, Lord, to speak to our hearts. Mighty God, as we listen and as we'll get the recording. I pray, God, you may open up our intellect, oh God, that we may understand what is teaching. Mighty God, we thank you for all those who are online, those who come week after week, and I pray those who have started, God, may find a need. We thank you for the ministers and everyone that comes online. And as we should retire, Lord, as we should come off this platform, let us stay near to you, Lord. Let us continue to be in your secret place or in your presence as we open, as we wait on your mercies and your blessing. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Amen. I want to also commend Sister Paulette Callum for coming on to Bible study for the past months.
Amen.
That's my sister-in-law, and I must commend her for being on class every Tuesday night. She's even doing better than some of the members at church, so we want to big
A
her up for
lot
that.
of the members, I commend her too. And
Yes.
since I am not resident there, some people I don't know, are they members or visitors like Brother Junior? Junior, that brother, Shallow,
No,
like I don't know who
he's
is
not a
that.
member. He's not a member, as he
Right,
had
that's what
said.
I'm saying. Persons I see online that I don't know. I know
Right.
Noel, that is Sister Doxy's husband, but Valerie and Mary and Julie, I don't know.
Okay.
All right, so
Are they
go ahead.
members?
I am a guest online who don't want to be identified right now. Also, Sister Opal Osborne Smith, who is one of our intended members. She was on, but I think
Right.
because of,
She comes on a few times too.
yeah, so
She
she
was on
is,
earlier too.
okay, she's a part of us. She's new, but she's a part of
Okay. And Orenthia Reed.
us. I'm not picking up that person, but
But
sometimes
Sorry
people
to
come
read
on
a
and they,
friend from work.
oh, wonderful. Welcome.
There are some people that comes on that are invited by different members. So
yes.
I don't really, as Sister Lana said, sometimes they are kind of shy. So they
Yeah,
don't
they're not
they don't
Yeah.
ready
want
to
you
be
to
You
call
just
invited.
them
want them to
out.
feel a part of it and welcome. You don't want to,
Right. But
it's just like you pass people by in church
You
and you
can
don't
just
stop to say
welcome
who they
them, but
are or
they
hi
don't
to
want.
them.
You
Sister
can just welcome.
Julie's brother Robert Jai,
Sister
Jai's
Julie. Oh, Brother Robert's wife. Oh,
right.
okay. I know, Sister. See, people I know, but I don't know who it is.
Right.
Sister Broderick,
Good night, Sister Julie, Sister Pam. Good
right.
night, good night. Happy
This is
belated
Juliet.
anniversary. Let us tell them happy anniversary was 2 years yesterday.
Okay. So
Happy anniversary again. Did you get my hello from me?
so
It was
Your
on the
husband?
14th. It was on the 14th, Sister Broderick.
so
Oh, I
we,
thought,
we
okay.
so you have a big showdown for my church.
My birthday was Saturday, but the
Okay.
anniversary was on
Anyway,
the 14th.
belated happy anniversary still.
Thank you
Yes.
so
So
much.
we have a big showdown for you. So make sure you and Brother Robert show up on
No,
Sunday.
this is not the Julie that you're thinking of, Pastor. This is Juliet Shaw Johnson.
Oh, Sister
Oh,
Shaw.
oh,
Okay. Oh, I thought you said Brother Robert's wife, Sister Julie. I thought,
I
No,
thought,
somebody said that, not me.
oh, sorry.
okay,
Hi,
okay.
Sister Shaw.
All right.
Hi.
Nice to see
Johnson.
you out. I'm so happy to see you online.
Thank you.
But Sister Julie, we still have to do a showdown. You know that.
She don't know. Don't hide. Make she hide.
All right.
Can
God
tell how I
bless
can
you
crack up
guys.
Where's my
So,
happy anniversary Saturday gone? Was for last.
Brother Parks, happy anniversary, happy belated anniversary. And you have to
Same
come
here,
down.
Brother Parks
Brother
and
Parks, you have to come
Sister
down
Arlene.
early. You have to come down. No matter what time you come down, we're going to have to do a showdown. We have all on record, so we can look back.
All right. All right.
Yeah, so make sure you let me know when you're coming.
Pretty
You
soon.
You and Mama P.
Yes.
Yes. Remember, I wasn't at the wedding, and I didn't see any showdown from that.
Right. So you want to see? Oh.
Yes, man. Yes.
All right.
All right.
Put on my dancing shoe.
All right, sir. God bless you.
Good night,
Brothers and
everyone.
sisters, we are a family, so let us continue to pray for each other and bless up and encourage each other. All right? And mute your mics and just say good night to each other as we close.
Good night,
Good night.
everyone. Good night. Have a wonderful
Good night,
night.
Good night,
everyone. Good
everyone.
night.
Good
Good
night.
evening,
Rest of the
everyone. Good
week.
night. Good
Night,
night.
everybody.
Good night.
Night, Brother Shant. Good night, Sister Debbie.